The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Gabrielle Gifford's emotional return to Congress, Jewish hip-hop, the Fegele Film Festival, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Could all the controversy over President Barack Obama's Mideast speech in May have been for naught? Reports suggest that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is ready to negotiate a peace deal that assumes the framework of 1967 borders with land swaps that led to so much uproar just over 2 months ago. To TJC viewers, of course, this should come as no surprise. Despite many news outlets' heated reports at the time suggesting a U.S.-Israel rift over the president's statement, TJC viewers were shown a statement from Netanyahu's office expressing the same exact hopes for a peace deal using 1967 borders with land swaps as a basis for negotiation. The Obama administration's efforts within the United Nations also saw news this week. Ambassador Rosemary DiCarlo spoke out this week against the Palestinian statehood proposal. At an open Security Council debate on the situation in the Middle East, here's what DiCarlo had to say.
Let there be no doubt. Symbolic actions to isolate Israel at the United Nations in September will not create an independent Palestinian state. The United States will not support unilateral campaigns at the United Nations in September or any other time.
Meanwhile, within the Jewish community, left-wing efforts to promote Israeli-Palestinian peace, as well as the social justice agenda, received a personnel shakeup this week. The Nathan Cummings Foundation has a new president and CEO in Simon Greer, who had been holding the same positions at the Jewish Funds for Justice. The Cummings Foundation, which has a $440 million endowment, declares its mission is, quote, rooted in the Jewish tradition and committed to democratic values. In a different vein, there's been a very significant contribution to advancing the Jewish tradition with democratic values this week in the halls of the United States Congress. Congresswoman Gabrielle Gifford of Arizona, who survived an assassin's attack earlier this year that left 6 dead, returned to Congress for the first time since the attack to vote on the debt bill. Introduced by Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, Gifford received a sustained standing ovation from her fellow members of Congress. But in bad news of another assassination attempt, a rabbi was stabbed to death last week in Israel while receiving visitors. Rabbi Elazar Abu Chatzera was stabbed to death. The suspect arrested for the crime allegedly killed the rabbi because he was upset about the marital advice the rabbi had given him. The suspect had previously had multiple interactions with police over alleged violence against his wife. The rabbi's funeral was reportedly attended by tens of thousands. In other crime news, a string of arrests in the ultra-Orthodox community continued this week. First, a sexual abuse arrest in Monsey, New York, involves a man, Shmuel Dim, whose younger brother is also a sex criminal. The younger brother, Bezalel Dim, was convicted of first-degree sex abuse in 2006 and is listed as a Level 2 sex offender in New York State. The older brother arrested this week is charged with 4 felony counts and 1 misdemeanor count for allegedly abusing 2 boys under the age of 11. He has reportedly been released on a $30,000 bond and has surrendered his passport. The second story of sex abuse in the ultra-Orthodox community this week is the jailing of a rabbi in Israel for allegedly raping a 13-year-old girl. Rabbi David Ben Chacham Chafuta, who is 63 years old, is alleged to have used mystical threats with the child, saying that sex with him would repair her sins and would make her the mother of the Messiah. A third story this week is of an alleged abuse ring in the ultra-Orthodox community of Jerusalem. 3 ultra-Orthodox men have been arrested there on suspicion of abusing dozens of children between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. Charges include indecent assault, sodomy, and sexual abuse of minors. All of these crimes, in addition to those in recent weeks, and especially the murder of 8-year-old Libby Kletsky, have brought to the fore the issue of ultra-Orthodox reporting of alleged crimes to law enforcement. Last week's newscast explored how the ultra-Orthodox Agudath Israel of America has continued to state that all alleged crimes should be discussed with a rabbi before contacting law enforcement. Well, in Australia, a Hasidic rabbi has stepped down after it appeared that he endorsed that position, and his statements were leaked to the press. Rabbi Yosef Feldman was previously the president of the Rabbinical Council of New South Wales. Moving on, last week saw the first same-sex marriages in New York State, in which the first same-sex marriage in New York City was of a Jewish couple. But a theatrical exploration has already been well underway, as Christian Needon reports.
On a day when gay Jewish couples were publicly celebrating married love under a chuppah in downtown Manhattan last week, a new play at the Studio Theater on West 42nd Street explored the repercussions of hiding such feelings within the world of modern Orthodox Judaism. A Strange and Separate People, which just wrapped its run on Theater Row, centers on a love triangle between married Orthodox couple Jay and Phyllis, and Stuart, the doctor with whom Jay is having an extramarital affair. To make matters more complicated, Jay's therapy practice specializes in treating Jewish men for what he calls
they've got same-sex attraction disorder.
Add to that a strong focus on Jewish scripture, and the play tackles self-acceptance from a strongly religious perspective, a theme the play's writer, John Marins, said adds depth to the various moments of self-doubt his characters experience.
That moment exists for all three of these characters, that we're all flawed people. We all have things that we're trying to work through. And as we work through it, the more we work through it with other people, the more we'll sort of discover things. I mean, the Torah also talks about the fact that until you're in a relationship, you don't really experience the full joys of life, or experience, the difficulties as well.
An example of how such a relationship can be affected by the stress of hiding one's homosexuality from their Orthodox community is at the heart of a scene where Stuart and Jay take different approaches to dealing with that stress. One using psychological reason, the other to fill in prayer.
Feel your feet against the ground, touching the earth, ground.
I'll show you a Shvei Tetra. Oh, yeah.
See in your eye, you're doing it. Good. Now press your feet together, however you want, whatever's comfortable. Heel against heel, soul against soul.
To hear more from the writer of A Strange and Separate People, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. If a play about gay Jewish identity isn't enough to satisfy you, perhaps a film festival will do. Christian Needon reports on the Fegala Film Festival.
Fegala was the word on the shirts and minds of filmmakers and audiences attending last week's 6th annual Fegala Film Festival at the JCC Manhattan. And festival organizer Isaac Zablocki said, with New York's recent recognition of gay marriage, screening documentaries examining gay issues in both America and Israel made this festival a timely event. He added that the name of the festival is all about pride, which begins with rethinking the word Fegala.
The term Fegala, apart from being a great alliteration, originally has no negative meaning. It means bird in Yiddish. Obviously, over the years, it's kind of taken on a little bit of a derogatory term for the gay community, and it's definitely been reclaimed. And when it was suggested, we checked it out with the audience, and the audience loved it. The gay and lesbian community absolutely embraced it. And every year we get somebody who calls and raises a question about it, and they all feel really confident with the fact that it's been reclaimed. And even one guy tonight was wearing a Fegala shirt.
That man was Jonathan Lee, director of Paul Goodman Changed My Life, a documentary about the New York-born Jewish intellectual author and political radical. Goodman influenced the student anti-war movement of the 1960s, and his openness as a gay public figure was groundbreaking.
He was a Jew who took these core values of Judaism and brought them mainstream. I mean, the young people who took him up, the ideas that he was promoting of participatory democracy, small-scale communities, decentralized communities, that he was trying to find ways to break down big institutions, corporations, huge schools, so that there could be more community amongst people. And I really feel that he got started with all of that, with this understanding of what a congregation is. I mean, so I would argue, if I was writing a thesis, that he was deeply Jewish.
But that wasn't the immediate impression of his wife of 43 years, Sally Goodman, who recalled for Lee her shock upon meeting Paul, who immediately told her he was gay.
What she's saying is it wasn't as strange to her that he was homosexual as that he was Jewish.
Ironically, when faced with recutting the film for foreign distribution, the film's editor, noted documentarian Kimberly Reed, said that it wasn't the gay or Jewish elements of Goodman's story that would require editing out.
We'll probably de-emphasize a lot of the American, the U.S.-centric focus. And this is with a guy who considered himself, definitely an American. I mean, he was very patriotic. He was very much an American.
For more from the Fagala Film Festival, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. In a very different angle on Jewish culture, Jewish hip-hop continues to thrive, as Meredith Gansman found out.
The Shem Speed record label is known for producing Jewish hip-hop, rock, and reggae artists. Bring these artists together for the Shem Speed Hip Hop Festival, and you've got one of the largest celebrations of cutting-edge Jewish music.
Hey, is anyone Jewish here? All right, I am rapping at the right place. Just wanted to make sure I'm rapping at the right place. Let's go.
The elevation, put yourself in a transformation, beyond evolution, beyond to elevation. My mic and in the course of the night, you see I'm Jewish, but I'm willing to pay anything to save hip-hop, even the cost of my life.
Shem Speed is an independent music record label and promotional agency for both Jewish and mainstream artists. Shem Speed's founder and CEO explained that his label's artists bring their Jewish heritage to bear on a mainstream sound.
It's sort of like talking from our perspective and, being a light unto the nations through music.
Y-Love, an artist on the Shem Speed label, says their music is trying to spread Jewish values.
All Jews ultimately want to see the world be in a better place, and that's what Shem Speed is all about.
Along with Y-Love, Shem Speed artists including D-Scribe and Kosha Dills also performed at the festival. Shem Speed's marketing vice president explained the various artists' musical styles.
D-Scribe is a little bit more for the clubs. He plays a lot of dance hall. We call it like urban pop. Y-Love, you have revolutionary hip-hop. It's kind of the unity hip-hop. It's a different kind of hip-hop. We call it positive hip-hop, unity hip-hop. Kosha Dills is, we love Kosha. And he's more underground hip-hop. He mixes a lot of different styles in.
For more from the Shem Speed Hip Hop Festival, check out the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. Finally this week, TJC is happy to announce that you can now find TJC on Comcast Cable. That means we're welcoming viewers from all around the country this week, including Atlanta, Chicago, Portland, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., South Florida, and so many other locations around the United States. We look forward to providing all of you with the best that Jewish and Israeli culture has to offer. That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.